Now, just because this is something that involves the Tree of Might, doesn't necessarily mean that it'll bring you so much joy. Hey folks, MasakoX here. This story came about from you lot out there. In our weekly live streams, and this one was about Turles turning a corner, it's come up so many times, to the point where Haverock and I just decided, hey, let's give it a go. Clearly seeing there was a big enough call for it, at least to look into what could happen had Turles turned good, and not gone down the path necessarily toward true evil. But that being said, to not include the Tree of Might in this story, that would be a little bit of a disservice for the character, so fret not. It's still here, and it's still absorbing everything in its path. But will it become a force for good in the end, and not just a harbinger of lost worlds? In the last part, we mostly focused on the final member of Turles' Crusher Corps, dies. For those thinking that we made up all of his backstory, it's actually not the case. The Pekimpa dynasty is actual lore. On top of that, Turles did launch an attack on his people, and the prince came out of it losing everything. All we did was enhance what was already there, and include the tree some more. The way that dies is portrayed in the movie does reflect a sort of malevolent euphoria from being around Turles, which would imply that what the Saiyan could offer was something more appealing than being a prince to a world that was obviously not going to be seeing its best days anytime soon. After recruiting the final member of the Corps, Turles and Elec, yes that Elec, Earth becomes the group's next target, after Heater intelligence deduced that not only would it be a good candidate for the tree, but also that they wouldn't get any interference from the Frieza Force, seeing as they had deemed that planet as far too primitive and not lucrative enough to sell on in terms of a planet. With this, we are now set on the path toward Goku and Dark Goku meeting, like in the original. But will it end up the same way, with Goku wheeling out the Spirit Bomb? We shall have to find out as we resume. It is age 762, November. Some time has passed since the attempted conquest of Nappa and Vegeta. Our heroes have managed to recover from their wounds and can now resume their much more sedate lifestyle. The likes of Krillin and Gohan have recently left the Wukong hospital after the battle with the Saiyans, missing out on the chance for some sensu beans for a quick fix. That's probably down to the fact that Yajirobe hadn't grown that many lately after years of peace, and it would take more time to yield a suitable amount. No matter though, everybody was a-okay now. Gohan and Krillin, as well as Bulma, are in agreement about what to do next. They will have to travel to Namek in order to find this world's Dragon Balls in order to bring back their friends, who did fall in their fight against the invaders. However, there is some time left before the Namekian ship that Popo and Bulma had found could be deemed space-worthy, and so the decision was made to have some downtime after such an intense year of training and then fighting two strong spacemen. Takes that out of you, doesn't it? To take Gohan's mind off of this dangerous assignment, Bulma, Roshi, Oolong and Krillin made the choice to take the boy camping. Everyone needed a major rest during those hard times, and this seemed like the most simple and down-to-earth method of doing so. They're also trying not to mourn their lost friends. Not yet, at least. There is still some hope that a set of Dragon Balls could bring them back. Chi-Chi was a bit reluctant about letting her son go, even with the lack of Piccolo potentially kidnapping him again, despite everyone telling her that he was not like his father at all. But Bulma managed to finally convince her, saying that Gohan probably wouldn't be able to focus on his studies anyway before the journey to Namek. It's a really exciting thing, space travel, and perhaps a camping trip such as this one could be educational, good for his health and well-being. After all, said Bulma, think of all the natural organisms and environments and biomes he could immerse himself in. It would work wonders for his understanding of biology, to be fair. That was the right way to get through to Chi-Chi, so she ultimately complied. But not before coming up with a list of things for Gohan to write down that he had seen. Compromise. So, for a moment, our heroes could forget about their dire situation. That is when an object that falls from the sky causing a gigantic wildfire shows up, right around them. Oh great. Well, at least it wasn't another alien trying to endanger their very existence. No problem, they all thought. They could just ask Shenron to restore the forest and everything will be hunky-do- Oh wait, no, Piccolo's dead. No Kami, no Dragon Balls. You see, this is different to the movie. We're placing this event in the main timeline after all, and in that timeline, as you know, Piccolo's gone, and so therefore, the balls are inert. That means no more rest for the remaining Dragon team. They have to save the local wildlife, trying to use their abilities as best they can to extinguish this natural disaster, and ensure that the damage done to the forest is minimal. Roshi is surprisingly helpful with this, using his mastery of the Kamehameha to cause water from the nearby river to travel at great speeds and distances towards massive swathes of flames and embers. Bulma even managed to call on one of her capsule corp planes to drop water from above. That's what you get for being the daughter and heiress to the biggest transportation company on the planet. Sure enough, the fire was brought under control thanks to those external methods of calming the blaze. Thinking that, oh, probably it was just a stray meteorite after all things were said and done, our heroes could resume their camping safe in the knowledge that the forest had been saved. Mostly. However, our heroes don't notice the probe that had been scanning the area the entire time. The probe had been scouring the land for hours, taking in the natural environment that hadn't been scorched by its landing. Back on the bridge of Turles' spaceship, Lacazette and Raisin were impressed by what the probe was sending back to them.
This planet is really something else, boss. Elec wasn't wrong. While the civilization below is not exactly refined, the richness of biomes and forms of life is just marvelous. This may be our best tree yet?
Turles nodded, watching the footage, taking in the splendor of what they were about to sup. In a way, he felt kind of sad to be ridding reality of this gorgeous scenery. It did look nice after all. But money talks, cash is king. Just then, he spotted something of interest and ordered the probe to stalk it. There were a group of people that had been tending to the wildfire, and a certain child caught Turles' attention. Could it be a Saiyan? Question for later though. They had a tree to plant. Very well, proceed. If I'm not mistaken, we'll be able to kill two birds with one stone here, if we play our cards right. I'm certain that the one I'm looking for will be tending to his new hiding place. Turles felt excitement on a level he hadn't felt in years. He could not care less for his other brethren, but learning that his bloodline had survived, that there was a chance that more Saiyans were indeed out there, surviving amidst the coldness of space, away from Frieza's influence? Ooh, that could be the beginning of a very fruitful operation and cooperation. Perhaps this was the thing to truly set in motion his place to set up on his own, free from Elec's influence. It was the natural next step, he thought. This time, however, they didn't choose personally to land, planting their prize directly. Those folk down there were abnormally powerful for the planet, and so they used said probe that they had sent down to plant the tree. It had contained a seed on the off chance that any world that it might land up on could be a little bit too inhospitable at that time. In this case, it was more in terms of finding a stealthier solution. The Crusher Corp could sense that this encounter was far different to the ones that had preceded it. It felt that this whole situation was weirdly personal to their leader, but they chose to say nothing, choosing that it wouldn't be wise to get in Turles' way right now. He got them thus far, and they were fiercely loyal to him. If the captain says to wait, they will wait. They had time, the element of surprise, and were hiding in the shadows. The seed is planted, and the tree starts to grow under the eyes of the corp from above. Later that day, everyone had made it back to Goku's house, and Chi-Chi was not very pleased to hear that Icarus, a dragon that Gohan had saved during the wildfire, had followed them back to their house. Goku, who was back from training, tries to quell his wife's anger, but it doesn't work out that well. A baby dragon was not something that Chi-Chi had told Gohan to look out for, let alone bring back. Also, a wildfire? He could have been killed! But he wasn't. And this was also despite the fact that all of them had a means of flying away to safety. And Gohan said that he couldn't, with any good conscience, leave these creatures to die in this blaze. But again, at this time, Chi-Chi was really focused on one thing, and you know what that is. This family argument is then interrupted by a revelation from King Kai. Just drops in because.
What is it, Majesty?
He tells Goku about the infamous Tree of Might and of its dangerous fruits, and that one of its instances is growing right now in their neck of the woods.
You might want to see if you can, rip it out before it gets worse. Not one world has come out of it in one piece after a tree has paid it a visit.
When Goku asked how one of those even got here, King Kai upped the ante of its importance. Apparently, they are meant to be eaten only by the core people like himself, as a sort of means of sustenance and maintenance while down in the mortal realm, and that their appearance on Earth could be the bringer of massive problems not just for this world, but many other worlds, maybe the entire galaxy. When they get to the tree later, our heroes can see a quite beautiful sight of the tree growing huge in the distance. It didn't look that bad or menacing, but what Krillin pointed out, that made them see why this was a problem. The landscape around the tree was noticeably barren. That wasn't right. The heroes decide to intervene on the behest of King Kai, but Gohan is forbidden from going.
I'm allowing you to go on that space adventure, so you're sitting this one out. You can't do both.
The boy is not really thrilled about this prospect, but agrees. He doesn't want to risk the mission to save Mr. Piccolo after all. That came first. And so, Goku, Krillin, and Roshi are the last standing defenders of Earth. Oh my. At the tree, they then meet the Crusher Corps, who had made the choice to go down and await the growing of the tree's fruit. However, they were minus the captain, who had yet to make his entrance. Lakase notices that the tree doesn't look right. It seems to be smaller than it usually is at this stage. Amon then deduces that perhaps such a rich planet as this might mean the tree could be growing slower, like it were enjoying itself, enjoying the meal, taking its time in imbibing the more luscious essence. The appearance of Goku, though, confuses the goons greatly. Dice blinks a couple of times.
Well, this might be the reason the captain wanted to make it a little bit more personal. Let's put this to the test, shall we, boys?
Amon grinned. Goku tries to urge them to stop whatever they're doing with the tree, but the others are only interested in fighting, so...
Oh well, guess I gotta fight.
Roshi and Krillin are supporting Goku as best they can, who is skillfully managing to dance around all the opponents, despite them being quite powerful, and they in turn are growing increasingly worried, but also impressed with the Saiyans' power, just as the tree is growing in the background. Meanwhile, at Goku's house, Chi-Chi notices that Goku has returned rather quickly. Thank goodness for that. But wait, wasn't that stuff he was wearing Saiyan armor? Where'd he get that? At first she wants to talk to him, but quickly realizes that this man here is not her husband, despite having the exact same appearance. Turles, seeing her confusion, is now even more sure of his thoughts. Clearly, her partner was Saiyan. No doubt about it. He has struck gold. Gohan goes out to defend her mother, even voicing his own personal shock, which causes Turles to rejoice that his theory was proven correct far more lucratively than he'd first thought. So, you are his offspring. Wonderful. We're going to go for a little walk, you and I. Chi-Chi tries to stop him, much to Gohan's protest, but he knocks her out cold. He fights for a short while with the kid, also knocking him down, but carefully though. Meanwhile, this has been a really tough fight for the members of the Corps. This man, he isn't getting tired, and they're on their last legs. Kakao and Dice are trying to beat him, but Goku is starting to get bored, just beating them down to the ground many times over. The twins are next, and before Amon gets a jump on Goku, he gets blasted by a combined Kamehameha from Roshi and Krillin. Despite the lower numbers of Z-fighters, the more focused effort of the trio meant that there was less chance of error. They were in sync. Goku then wants to do something about the tree, but he hears a new voice. Impressive! But I would not expect less from the son of the great Bardock. Kakarot, if I'm right. I heard rumors that you may have survived. I'm glad to see that the rumors were true. Goku gazed into the sky. The man that looked kinda like him was holding his son.
What? You let that child alone!
I have no intent on harming you, Kakarot, even after you greatly harming my men. I understand. I know you might have gotten comfy here on this planet. It is very nice. But if you truly have the blood of your father, you should not be hiding here. It's beneath you and your legacy. I even heard of the intergalactic grapevine that you managed to beat Prince Vegeta. Remarkable. I could use someone like you.
You're not the first one to pull this kind of stunt, and they met a gruesome end. But I guess more Saiyans survived then. Huh?
Goku scoffed. Trust me, I'm a born survivor, just like you. All of those primitives must worship you. This conquest, your father would enjoy it. Goku gazed at Turles.
I don't really care what my father would have wanted. I never met him. But if he enjoyed hurting others like you say, then I never, ever want to meet him. I'm gonna say this only one more time. Leave my son alone. Take that tree with you and stop bothering innocent people.
Turles' mind was processing this bizarre input he had heard. This is a joke, right? You are joking. Goku remained steadfast. He wasn't. Dai's had never seen Turles so shocked before. You are a Saiyan. Don't tell me you...
My name is Son Goku, and I am a Saiyan from Earth.
So, a Saiyan from Earth. Turles scoffed. Well, I hope you can catch your brat. But Goku was already there, holding Turles' hand. Next, he takes Gohan from him and hands him over to the old man, and then punches Turles in the gut. The two start an impressive duel, but it starts to become painfully obvious not too long after the beginning that Turles, he's losing. Despite all of the fruit that he had consumed over the years, it just was not enough to stop the son of Bardock. I mean, he was surprised, but then yet not surprised at the same time. Somehow, Kakarot had the upper hand. Turles is weakening, to the point when he would have to resort to... He gains distance from Goku, flying toward the tree. He smiles in triumph as he reaches for a branch with the first fruit on it. This one's gonna be potent, he thought. He knew it. This one will give him the power that will help him stomp that freak. On Bardock's good name, he would do it. He'd beat his son back into shape, make him a true Saiyan once more. As he grabs for it, a disc of light flies into him, cutting off the fruit and cutting off his arm. Turles roars in anger and agony as he sees the fruit falling down to the ground alongside his own hand. He tries to chase after it, but Goku destroys the fruit with a ki blast. Then, the Saiyan uppercuts him, knocking him out in front of his own troops. After that, Goku tries to gather enough energy to prepare a spirit bomb, but when he realizes the Earth has not got enough energy for a spirit bomb and to host the tree, he gathers the power from the tree itself instead and blasts it away, the tree withering and slowly become vaporize. Turles watches on in horror. He had just witnessed the power of the tree being used against itself. He hadn't even got so much as a bite from a fruit, not even just for a moment. He looks around as the planet is slowly restored. Then, Goku sets his gaze onto Turles and his crew. Now leave, and never return. Armand, all bruised up, puts an arm over one of his shoulders. Mighty Turles, you're bleeding. We should... Don't touch me, you cretin! Are you mocking me right now? Fight me! Goku raises an eyebrow. You're in no shape to fight. Go away. Get stronger. Think about what you did. Maybe we'll fight again someday. You are insane. Are you letting me go? Do you think I'm not a threat to you? Turles screamed angrily, trying to form a ki blast. Fight me! Turles roars, much to the troubled faces of his own crew, and then collapses. Goku looks to his crew. I'd get out of here if I were you. Your boss needs help. Armand looks reluctant, but Lagoon was right. He slowly nods towards the ship. Turles is too weak to protest. Before they evacuate, Dice gives Goku one last glare, limping over to his posse, following the rest toward the ship. The Crusher Corp have to leave Earth empty-handed. They have wasted one seed as well. They've only got 2 left. Not only that, but no one had ever defeated them before. Reason? Yes, Captain. We need to find Vegeta. The planet was blown up years ago. I thought that... No! Turles uses only remaining hand to slap him across the face, while Lacasse is working on a new prosthetic using the trinkets they acquired from felling past worlds. Don't try to be funny. I'm not in the mood. I was referring to Prince Vegeta, so you know. If anyone can tell me what the deal with Kakarot was, it would be him. Turles had been humiliated. Kakarot had, without knowing it, started a war he would live to regret later. He might believe in all that preachy rubbish now, but Turles would beat him back into shape. And if he won't be able to change his mind, he'll just destroy him. The legacy of Bardock would not be tarnished like this. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? How might Turles be able to convince Vegeta to aid him? Will Goku and he ever meet again? Or is this going to be a war within the shadows? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I will see you in the next video. Catch you later!